Welcome to the From Scratch Body. I'm Liv, and today I'm taking my cooking to the next level, I hope. This is a Magimix Cook Expert, and it's a brand new addition to my kitchen. I've hardly used it at all, so I thought in true the From Scratch Body fashion, I would try it in front of you guys. I'm gonna do a few things today. I'm gonna run through the different components. I'm gonna try and make a few things in it so that we can see how it works and if I'm happy with it. Let's go. It's important for me to be upfront with you guys so you know exactly what to expect from me and my videos. I was kindly invited by Magimix to their headquarters and their awesome kitchen to have a look at the Cook Expert. And I was given this Cook Expert by them to keep. However, they have no editorial control over this or any other videos that I make, so I am free to speak my mind about what I like and don't like. I just want to be honest with you guys so you have that information going forward in the video, but I will be looking at everything just like I would any other thing in my kitchen, and I will be honest if it's not working for me. If you're not familiar with the Cook Expert, this is basically what it is. So it comes with a food processor just like the 4200 XL that I've reviewed before that you will have seen on my channel. There are two videos if you want to look at those. Actually, I say just like, it's actually a bit bigger, this one. It's more like the 5200 XL, I think. At least the base is a little bit bigger. It also comes with, this is the star of the show, this metal bowl or stainless steel bowl with a clear glass lid. Inside you have a steamer basket and a steam tray. The metal bowl has a blade that goes with it, which is called the universal tool, which indicates that it's meant to be able to do quite a few different things. Like the food processors, it comes with a whisk, but this whisk fits in the metal bowl and not in the food processor bowls. The food processor bit has two blades, just like the other ones. It has the big blade for the big bowl and then a small blade inside here for the small bowl. And you have the same slicing and grating discs as the other food processors do that come in a separate box. It comes with two spatulas. This one is exactly like the one you get with the food processor, a plastic one. And then there's this, which is a metal spatula with a silicone top, which you can take off. And then you can really get in there, especially with the metal bowl. It's great to get in under the universal tool to get the food out. And it's also quite good to be able to clean this properly as well. So you kind of get three spatulas with it, so to speak. You also get this big old recipe book that comes with it. This is a big one. You also get the usual manual and the 30-year guarantee for the base and the 3-year guarantee for all the other stuff. This cookbook is really nice because not only is it nice to get some new inspiration for dishes to make, but this is specifically for the use of all of this stuff. So in the recipe book, you get the programs that you would need to use to make that dish in the Cook Expert. Magimix also have an app that you can get that has tons of different recipes on it. You can get that regardless of whether you have the Cook Expert or just one of the food processors, because you can put in the app which appliance you've got and you will get appropriate recipes for what you can make. They even have a My First Week with the Cook Expert where they have recipes that they suggest that you try first, because it can be a bit overwhelming. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I almost don't know where to start with this. I will forget to mention some of the things it can do, I'm sure. The range in temperature is massive. It goes from 30 degrees to 120 degrees, or you don't have to set a temperature at all. All these different speed settings. This is one of the things that makes it stand out the most from the other food processors, in addition to obviously this metal bowl. It's got a digital display, and it's got all these different presets that you can use basically, which are super handy because some of the presets will not just give you, the right temperature, the right speed of the blade and the right time. It will also change the speed of the blade as you go along, which is great for stuff like dough and soups, both of which I will be trying today. And it also takes the hassle out of cooking, which I am all about. So let's have a look at the display properly. You have cooking, under which you can choose soups, simmering, steam, and stir fry. Baking, where you can choose bread, brioche, pastry, cake, or beaten egg whites. Blender, where you can do smoothie, frozen dessert, or crushed ice. And then you have expert, essentially just manual mode, where you have full control of the time, speed, and temperature. So as I said, tons of stuff you can do with it. If you have an idea in your mind of how you would use the Cook Expert and you would love for me to try it, then do drop a comment below, because I will do future videos as well. So maybe I can address that dish or that kind of dish in my next video. I think I'm just gonna get cooking, guys, because this is the only way we're gonna see how this works. So let's make some food, shall we? If you already know my channel, you will know that I love making bread. You can watch my video on 10 tips of how to make perfect bread every time. So I have to try and make bread in this, because there's a very exciting thing about this with bread that I'm very excited to try out. So my apron's in the wash, so I thought it might be a good day to wear my Magimix apron, which they gave me when I visited the headquarters. So we're gonna make 2 loaves in here. Actually, I'm being a bit naughty because it does say in the manual that the maximum capacity for bread is about 800 grams. I'm going to try and push that a little bit today, and I do take responsibility for that myself. But just because the bowl is so big, and because I like to make 2 loaves of about 500 grams of flour each, I'm gonna try and do a kilo of flour in here with some water as well, and see if it can take it. Yeah, see, I've already forgotten to mention something, because you also get this scale from Magimix, which actually takes quite a lot of weight. So I'm going to use this scale. I'm interested to see how heavy this bowl is. It's about 2 kilos and a bit. So I go to baking and then to bread brioche. Gonna take this lid off, ready to pour a bit of oil and water in as it starts blending. It's pretty quiet. I mean, I can easily talk over that. So 1 minute in, it stops. And this is, I've read about this, so I'm a bit prepared. It stops so you have a chance to get in there and kind of move stuff down, which is a good thing, especially when you've put in more flour than you're meant to. So naughty. Anyway, when you're ready to go again, just press auto. You don't even have to go in there if it all looks like it's going well. You could just press auto again. That looks like dough. Yes. Well, I mean, it looked like it handled that perfectly well, to be honest. I mean, maybe if it had been a smaller amount, it would have been easier to really knead it. So let's see how well it's kneaded it. This is a great time to take off that silicone bit and just really get all the dough out. Yes! I'm so impressed. I'm pushing it to the limit already. And it's handling it so well. I can feel that that's been kneaded so more powerfully than I could do with my hands, even for essentially a minute, because the first minute kind of goes to mixing it all together. I was very carefully putting more and more water in because I didn't want it to be too wet. So yeah, that was about a minute of kneading, and it's already feeling so smooth, well blended. Now, I said there was something very exciting about this with making bread that I wanted to try, and I'm going to try that now. So not cleaning anything yet, just taking this dough, putting it back in, just as it is, putting the time to 1 hour 30. I'm turning off any kind of blade movement so it doesn't move around, and then I'm setting the temperature to 30 degrees. Lid on, rising. One of the most challenging things about making bread, as I'm sure you will know if you've tried it yourself, is that it is quite sensitive to temperatures and temperature changes in the room. So if it's too hot, too cold, or worst of all, it changes from hot to cold throughout the day. This happens often in my kitchen. It gets really hot, then I open the window, then there's a breeze. The dough doesn't like that. It likes a steady, consistent temperature, not too much going on. So I'm just gonna leave that in there to rise, and here's hoping it does the job. See you in an hour and a half. All right. Well, I've kept an eye on it and it's been rising so slowly and steadily, just like we want. It's looking really good. Smell that yeast. Well, it seems like it handled a bit more dough than was meant to be in there really well, so that's promising. Right, so now we want to get everything out from the bottom of this bowl, of course. So this is a good time to have a look at taking out the universal tool. So you can twist this lock here at the bottom, twist that clockwise, then it opens, there's a symbol on there. A fun thing here is that if you're struggling to open that bottom bit, if it feels a bit stuck, this lid can be used to help you. So you can use that to open it or close it. So that's quite handy. That ring comes out, and then this blade comes out. It just makes it lots easier to get the dough out of the bottom here, and then obviously to clean it properly. You can clean this blade as well. There's a silicone ring around here that you can take off, and I would probably put this and the ring in the dishwasher and then wash this by hand to really get in there and to keep it looking nice as well. This feels so nice and light, and yeah, as I said, I could see it rising really slowly, steadily. I use cold water, which makes it rise slower, which is a good thing. You can learn more about that in my bread video. An hour and a half was perfect for this dough. And there you go in the greased loaf tins. I'm going to leave those to prove, and then we'll have a look at what the final bread looks like. We've got the finished bread here, which has turned out beautifully, nice and hollow. Really lovely dough that I got in this, and I'm really impressed that it handled a bit more than even the manual said that I should safely put in there. I'm not necessarily recommending going over those amounts, but I just wanted to push it a bit and have a little experiment basically. So I'm gonna try a slice of this. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Just the way you want it. It's nice and consistent inside, but it's also really light and fluffy. Perfect bread, a mix of white, wholemeal and rye. Brilliant, really soft and so perfect. Because the Cook Expert metal bowl has the steamer basket and the steam tray, I thought it'd be nice to do something steamed. And I'm going to try and make some gyoza, which I learned to make from my Japanese friend who loves food as much as I do. And she taught me how to do it with pork mince, but I'm actually going to do it with a chicken breast today and do some chicken gyoza, which I really love. I just thought, since we have the food processor, it's another thing that we don't need to buy processed. So we don't have to get anything ready minced because we have the meat as it is and we can mince it ourselves. So really quickly, I'm not going to do a massive batch here. I'm going to do some cabbage, a bit of spring onion, a peeled bit of ginger, and a small clove of garlic. When you use the food processor, well, first of all, it has this protective base that you can actually detach as well. which stops it from getting warm if you've just used the metal bowl to heat something up and the base is warm basically. So it's not going to melt the bowls or anything. Also, when you put the food processor on, it immediately goes to food processor on the digital display. That's the only thing you can do once the food processor is on the base. So we're just going to do regular old auto on the food processor. I'm going to add a whole chicken breast here and see how well it kind of just minces that. Very quickly is the answer. That's good to know, because then we can mince our own meat. We don't have to buy minced meat, which, as I say, is another processed little bit that you buy ready-made and might not be so good for you. Adding a bit of sesame seed oil, some salt, and a bit of pepper. We need a tiny bit of cheese for the gyoza. It's so little that normally even someone who hates grating cheese as much as me would be able to do it by hand. But since we've already used the food processor, we've got the top messy, we've even got the medium bowl a bit messy. And this is the thing that I mentioned in my review of the 4200 XL, that when you use a small bowl, a tiny bit, when you do dry stuff, a tiny bit jumps over into the medium bowl. It's one of the very few minuses about the food processor that I can find. But let's use it now that it's got a bit dirty anyway. This is honestly all we need. And this one has stayed clean, so that's good. There is a steam symbol inside the bowl, which I'm going to fill the water up to. Then I'm placing the steamer basket and the steam tray inside. I'm going to put a bit of baking paper on top of the steam tray. I don't know yet whether that's something I need or if it's fine to just grease it a bit and put it straight on. I don't know which one is best, so I'm kind of just trying here. So I've got the gyoza filling here. I've got some cheese. Then I've got my ready-made gyoza wrappers and a glass of water. So the thing about gyoza and the way that I was taught to make it is basically in a frying pan, and it's kind of half steaming, half frying them, which is really, really lovely because you do want that steam to go in so that it cooks everything on the inside in that really lovely way and that they get nice and soft. It is also nice to get that kind of crispy bottom. The problem sometimes when doing it in the pan, even if I've got a lovely non-stick pan, is that they do tend to get a bit stuck to the bottom, and they also get a bit stuck to each other. So I'm wondering if maybe steaming them in this is going to help that, is going to, minimize the sticking to the bottom, sticking to each other. And also, obviously, a concern for me is the health side of things. And if you can avoid using loads of oil and frying, then that's fantastic. So I see that as a big bonus. So we're just going to try. I might, when I've steamed them, want to just crisp them up a tiny bit in a pan, but we're going to see how we feel. I've done 10 gyozas in there now. So we've gone to cooking and then steam. The standard steam time is set to 20 minutes. I'm going to maybe try 15 first. And just have a look at what they look like after 15 minutes, because I have no clue what we're going to need for the gyozas. This is just an experiment. So let's try 15 minutes of steaming. It smells really nice. It smells really lovely. They look nice. They have stuck together a bit. So maybe if I kept a bit more space between them, they wouldn't stick together, but it looks like I'll be able to get them apart. Let's have a look at the temperature inside. Oh, it's plenty done. It's plenty done. That's about 84 degrees. And for chicken, you want to be 74 or above Celsius, that is. Let me see. So we are at 180 Fahrenheit. So yeah, so it's done. Let me try one. That is amazing. Yes, 100% will be steaming. And not frying them afterwards. They did get a bit stuck together. I did 10, so maybe if I did 8, I'd have a bit more space between them because they're not stuck to the bottom. So that's a plus, because that's, as I said, often the problem when I do it in the pan. So they come off the bottom absolutely perfectly. They're just sticking to each other a bit. So maybe if I did about 8, and knowing that it only takes 15 minutes, then you can easily do, you know, 2 batches or whatever. Oh, that is so good. And if you wanted to crisp them up a bit, you could easily just put them in the pan and crisp up the bottom a bit. But I love when they're really soft and just steamed. It makes me think of the gyoza that I have in restaurants sometimes. So yeah, absolutely going to stop frying my gyozas and just do the steaming from now on. Please leave. One thing I'm very interested in trying in this metal bowl is making a soup. I'm going to try just a few different vegetables. And I'm really hoping, because I know that there's a setting of creamy soup. And, you know, it's easy enough to make a soup. You know, you just kind of have to have a bit of patience and cook, you know, boil vegetables and whatever else in a pan for as long as it takes to get soft and everything. But one thing that can be hard is to get everything to get really creamy, really blended well, because you have to kind of get in there and, you know, mash it up or whatever. So what I'm hoping that this is going to do is to, you know, cook it at a really high temperature so that it goes really soft, but also do the blending thing so that I don't have to go in there with force and mash everything up, and so that I get a really properly creamy soup without having to work very hard. So carrot, onion, I'm purposefully doing really big chunks just to see how it deals with it. A few spinach leaves. And then I've got this lovely green Romanesco cauliflower, so I'm going to put in a bit of that as well, including the leaves around it. There's going to be a lot of soup. Adding some coconut cream, a tiny bit of stock, pepper, and a little bit of water. So we're at 3.5 minutes now, roughly, and it's bubbling away. I can see that the temperature in there is definitely high. So it's set to 110 degrees, so that's really hot. And you can see that I had this whole bowl full of stuff and it's all just simmered down into a much smaller quantity. So definitely I'm confident that everything is as soft as it needs to be. So now I'm curious to see when it starts actually going around with the blade if it can make it really nice and creamy. I don't know exactly when it's going to start going, so I'm just kind of watching it. Ooh. Bubbling, clearly really, really hot, but it's completely smooth, I can tell. Wow, creamy soup. It smells so nice. Yeah, there's no doubt that soup in here is absolutely perfect. Amazing. The last thing I'm going to try today, obviously I have to try a dessert. So we're going to do a frozen dessert in here. Straight from my freezer, I've got some bananas, chopped bananas, and some chopped mango. Now I've just done the soup, then I've cleaned everything. So everything is quite warm. The base is also still quite warm. So just to make sure that the bowl is cool enough to not warm this up too much. I did read that it might be a good idea to run a few bits of ice, just run the crushed ice program basically with a bit of ice in there. So I'm going to do a few ice cubes in there. So we go to blender, crushed ice, so chucking the whole block of frozen banana and mango in there, and just adding a bit of natural yogurt for some creaminess. So let's do the frozen dessert program. That says it's 5 minutes, so I'm just gonna see what happens. Again, you can see it's pretty quiet. I'm talking over this while it's crushing frozen fruit. So I'm really impressed with how it's not, you know, super loud like some blenders and food processors can be. There are still some frozen sort of chunks in there, so I'm curious to see if it gets all of that by the end of the cycle. You can obviously go for longer, you know, if it just needs a bit more, you can set it to expert mode and run whatever you need, but oh yeah, here we go. There's about 50 seconds left on the clock, but to me that is already done, so I'm not going to wait any longer. I took this top off just to kind of have a look at it, but it also hit me that if you are doing, you know, an ice cream kind of thing or a sorbet where you put egg white in, then you probably want to take the lid off or the top off rather, so that you can get some air into it. So that might be a good idea to do for any kind of desserts, just to kind of let the air in. I'm still new, you know, I'm still learning all this stuff and remembering stuff that I've learned about it as well. There you go. Mango, banana, and natural yogurt. And because I'm in charge, I'm going to eat straight out of the bowl. Oh, it's like ice cream. Oh my God. Mmm. Oh yeah. It's really lovely and actually feels frozen. It feels like a really luxurious frozen yogurt. Frozen dessert tested. So for today, only one test remains, and that is the rinsing program. I'm just going to run that quickly after I've taken all this frozen yogurt out, and we'll see how that works. Tiny bit of washing up liquid and some water. Lid on, and you definitely want this back on now, I suspect. So rinsing is a separate program. Go okay. Rinsing, it reminds you to definitely take the whisk out if you've used the whisk. Right, let me just get that out. So I just pour that straight out, and that's what it looks like now. So that's really quite a good rinse. I mean, I'm obviously going to wash it properly and wash all of the components like I've done after everything I've made today, but that is a really great start, so you don't have to stand over the sink just rinsing it and all that sort of stuff. Now I can just get straight onto getting that universal tool out and washing everything properly. So the rinsing program, yes, very, very handy, especially, I mean, it's fairly easy to get out a frozen yogurt. But if you've done, you know, something that kind of sticks in there a little bit more, you know, a stir fry or something, to be able to rinse it first will be super handy. So that's a lovely little addition that they've created there. There you have it. That is my test of the Magimix Cook Expert. And I have loved everything about it that I've made so far. The gyoza was fantastic, the bread was really nice, the dessert was great, the soup could not have been more perfect. So for everything that I wanted to try today, it has really, really gone above and beyond. Very, very happy with it. I will do another video just like I did with my food processor in a couple of months' time probably, to tell you how I've actually used it versus maybe how I expected to use it. If you have any questions, or like I said, if there's anything that you would like to see me try, then do put it in the comments below. If I do get quite a lot of questions, I might do a video just answering your questions separately as well, because as you can see, so many things you can do with it. Look at all the presets that I didn't even touch on today. So I'm sure that you do have questions. You might have completely different ways that you intend to use this if you are considering buying it. So do ask me any questions that you have, and I will do my best to answer them. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video so that I can make more like it, and I hope to see you in the next one.